copy of my complaint in New York City, press 1. To make a complaint against an agency of the New York City Police Department, press 2. To make a complaint against a member of the New York City Police Department, press 3. Be connected to an available internal investigator. To inquire about the existing complaint, press 4. Be connected.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, officer. I actually am calling because there is something that happened on May 28th, and I want to report that case.
Who am I speaking to?
My name is Dr. Lotus King Weiss.
Can you spell your first and last name?
Yeah, my first name is Lotus, Lotusking. My last name is Weiss, Weiss.
What's your date of birth?
February 14th, 1967.
February 14, 1967. What's your address?
2904 147th Street, Flushing, New York, 11354.
What's the phone number?
347-822-5637. That's one number, but the number I'm calling right now is 631-552-0233.
How may I help you today?
I just want to report on May 28th, the local 109 precinct sent almost, I think, 7 or 8 or more police officers to my workplace following the calls.
Location of your workplace.
My workplace is at 2904 147th Street.
That's in Flushing as well?
That is the location that I give it to you where I also reside.
Okay.
So because of the nature of my nonprofit work involving the exposing of the Chinese Communist government's persecution towards Falun Dafa practitioners, the entire Flushing community before was very heavily, controlled by a lot of CCP spies, Chinese government. And I was experiencing constant harassment, discrimination, even hate crimes towards my community offices. So I had to eventually relocate and shut them down. Eventually, I had to, basically station in a residential home, and I rent 1 bedroom primarily to carry out my nonprofit organization work in the residential home. Okay. So that is the 2904 147th Street. I've been there for the past 8 years. And I developed a so beautiful, wonderful relationship with the entire family member. But May 28th, the incident really reveals how malicious the CCP hate propaganda can transform American citizens' mind to the degree that they call the police and they made false allegations of very serious nature that I didn't even know what they say. I was about to sleep. I was in my already sleeping clothes and in my bedroom ready to, take a nap because I stayed up all night long to do my nonprofit work. I usually sleep during the morning from 7 to about 1 o'clock. So this incident occurred around, right after 7 o'clock. After I finished my meditation, ready to sleep, they called the police and accusing me the following. This is what happened. This is what I learned later to recognize why the police came in a team of 7 to 8 members with 2 ambulances. And they claimed that my harassment to them caused the 8-year-old little girl, who's my dear friend, and we were so wonderful together, but they claimed that I harassed her to the degree that she used a knife, tried to commit suicide. And so the police came in and looked at me with very strange eyes and then started to force me into an ambulance, claiming that I need to be checked out by a medical staff. I was very surprised. I was in my sleeper. I went to the ambulance and they asked me to enter. I entered. I don't see any medical staff there, but another police officer. The police officer asked me, "What's your name? What's your birthday?" I answered. And then he said, "Now you sit here." And they blocked the door of the ambulance. I said, "I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. And I'm here to just, be checked out. And why, you seems to be, they don't let me come off the ambulance. The police blocked the door of the ambulance." And then the police, I said, I need to call my human rights attorney if this is what's happening to me now. And then they took away my phone. Okay. So I could not reach anybody. My phone was confiscated. When I want to go leave the ambulance, they handcuffed me. And they locked me down on the ambulance and deprived all my rights. And I had no idea what was the cause of it. But then I was arrested. In my view, now looking back, I was subject to forced arrest. I was handcuffed. My hands were in my back, and I was bound onto the ambulance, and I was made disappeared. Okay, so nobody knew where I was taken. I had no idea why I was taken, and the police officers, took me all the way to a place I'd never been to, which is called the Long Island Jewish Hospital. And then I was in handcuff situation. I was walking in my sleeper, in my sleeping clothes, okay? And then shipped into the hospital, still handcuffed, brought to the front desk, and the nurse asked me, "So what's the story?" I said, "I don't know, ask that officer." And the officer said, "She has been taking bipolar medication in the past 2 weeks." I said, "Where did you get that information?" "That's total lie. I don't take medication. I'm not a mental patient. This is outrageous. Who told you that?" He said, "Someone very close to you told me that." But he refused to tell me who. In any case, I was handcuffed. I was treated as a mental patient. They didn't even want to, take away the handcuff from me, even in the hospital. I mean, this is what happened to me in America, I mean, this is, looking back, I was like, this is like China, communist China. Anyway, I was put into the hospital, and I was forced to strip myself down, take away all my clothes, even including my gold necklace, and everything needed to be put away. I had to be naked, and then I had to put on the mental patient's clothing, okay? And then I was forced into this, unit that later I learned is called a Behavior Crisis Center or something of that hospital, and basically treated as a mental patient. And, went in there, and, nobody was taking care of me. And they're supposed to have a doctor see me, but no doctor ever came out to see me. I was left there for 6 hours, hungry, thirsty, didn't sleep, and I observed what was happening to the other mental patients. I see most of them as if also were shipped over there by police, but I don't see any one of them truly are mental. Young students, want to be released, and they have no attention, absolutely nothing cared about. But luckily, I'm very calm. I was just there meditate, and I meditated for 6 hours, and they could not find any problem with me, certainly. Eventually, the doctor said, "Dr. Lourdes King-Weiss, are you ready to go home?" I said, "Yes, it is time. I'm here, and I just want to tell you, they lied, okay, and they got me in here." So, I just want to report this case. I want to report this case to you, and I felt that the police officers have been deceived by the people who call 911, but the police officers didn't give me any chance to tell the truth. I told the truth to them. I said, this is what really, happened to me. And this morning, the grandma found the water in the drain was going down slow. And then she cursed at me, and I didn't say anything. I just meditated. When I come back to the house, the landlord jumped at me and loudly, accused me of causing the water to be slow. All I said is one sentence. I said, it's only grandma's theory. Just saying one sentence like that, they called 911. And they accused me of doing harassment and causing their young daughter to commit suicide and such, and caused me to be, subjected to all this kind of stuff. So this is really...
Yeah, please tell it the weekly. Now I contacting the state.
Okay, I'll go to the other room to talk, okay? Apologize.
This I need your help.
I will be with you immediately. I'm reporting the case. I will be ready to work with you. So no stress, okay? No stress, okay? I will be with you immediately, okay? Alrighty, so I hope this information is going to be, used and to invest. I don't know what the police officer's name, but it can be found out because this case about me sent to the, Jewish, Long Island Jewish Hospital, the hospital has a case report, and which officer was the officer that sent me there, they must have a record. So it all can be investigated.
So when the officers first came to the residence, what did they tell you?
When they came into the residence, I was already in my bedroom getting ready to sleep. So
And they knocked on the door. How did you make contact with these officers?
I didn't open the door because the landlord and his wife opened the door and invited the officers into the house. And I could have just stayed in my bedroom, not even coming out, but I felt concerned. I want to make sure the police officers are given truth. So I walked out from my bedroom in my bedroom clothes and in my slipper, okay? Purely with a good heart to help the police officers understand the truth. I felt it's my responsibility. So when I came out from my bedroom, I saw the police officers all gathered surrounding the house, made a big crowd, 2 ambulances, and inside of the house probably had about 6 or 7 police officers, and outside of the house had 2 ambulances and still clusters. I don't know whether it's health professionals or police officers. So I felt that I need to be there, and I thought I need to, tell the police the truth. But I was very surprised that the police officers didn't come to talk to me, but they got all surrounding the 80-year-old little girl in the bedroom, in the living room. I thought, this is bizarre. So I took out my phone, I started to film it. I thought, what's going on here? So then the police officers treated me very rude. They all looked at me as if I was someone strange and wrong. And I thought, this is bizarre. What's going on to me, in this house? So then when they say, you cannot come down because the bedroom is on the 2nd floor. So they were blocking the stairways and preventing me to come down. And then I was just standing at the 2nd floor and watching. And after I watched, and they finished and they took the little girl into the ambulance. So I thought, gee, I heard the mother was saying, oh, my daughter committed suicide because of her harassment. I thought, this is outrageous. The Chinese immigrants, this is a typical communist way. They lie without, they don't have to prepare. They can lie, outrageous lies. And I don't even know how their brain works like that. So after she lied, and the police officers, escort the girl into the ambulance, and the mother looked at me with a smile, as if, look, I got you, So I know something was evil going on in her face. So then the police officer says, now you can come down, and you need to come out from the house. I thought they just want to talk to me, so I followed them. I was already so tired, I was ready to sleep. So I didn't even think too much. I thought I would respect the police officers and then just come out and talk to them outside of the house. So I walked out of the house in my slipper without carrying anything. I only carried my phone. And then they said, you wait here. And then they said, I think you need to be checked by our, health professionals over there in that ambulance. Walk with us. I said, well, no, if I come out, I didn't have my purse. My keys is still inside of the house. I need to go get my purse. No, you don't have to go inside, get your purse. I said, okay, if it's just going to the ambulance to talk to the health professionals, I'm okay. I said, I'm not stressed, I'm not harmed.
Why would they tell you to go speak to the health professional?
I don't know. That's what I'm telling you. Now looking back, I think it's because the mother told them that I was harassing them. And then my harassment caused the daughter to want to commit suicide. And of course, the elder father want to have a heart attack. And all those lies caused the police officers consider that maybe I was doing something outrageous. I also believe that the landlord also told the police that I was mentally ill. Now, why this could be the case? Because later I found out that the police received a number from the landlord, and the number, belongs to my brother. And my brother, Dr. Jian Xinbao, was the man who, back in the year of 2005, when I was coming to New York to build my nonprofit organization, he basically followed the Chinese government. I was blacklisted by the Chinese government because I used to do, research on Falun Dafa practitioners' white blood cells to investigate the health benefit phenomena and publish articles, and got blacklisted by the persecutor in China, Jiang Zemin. So I was blacklisted, as a persecuted scholar, and my own family inside of China was pressured by the Chinese government. And so all my family members, when I was taking a trip to New York, they followed the Chinese government to already commit crime in America to try to deprive my rights. So the way they deprive my rights is that my own brother, who's a neuroscience researcher, he faked a medical diagnosis in Seattle court. I'm from Seattle, Washington. So in Seattle court, he faked a medical diagnosis to claim that I was suffering from bipolar, and I had no ability to handle my own finance. Therefore, he wanted to take over the right to handle all my financial matter. And so that kind of thing happened in the year of 2005. That was the year I first arrived in New York to do my nonprofit organization. And this has been 18 years now. I tried to take him to the court, but then the lawyers always say, you already ran out of statute of limitation. So, you cannot get him. Also, I was so deprived financially that I could not have enough financial resource to hire a lawyer to represent me throughout the years. And I also thought he's my brother, so I should not, try to avoid the legal confrontation, try to give him opportunity to know the, truth if he was lied by the Chinese government, and make him turn around. So this place that I'm renting, in Flushing, 2904 147th Street, as a matter of fact, was the rent is donated by Dr. Jian Xinbao, my brother. I actually know legally, because in every regard, use the Chinese tradition to see what he has done. I no longer will accept, him to be my brother, because no brother will try to kill the sister in the most ridiculous way, reputation-wise, financial matter, deprivation. In any case, his name is Dr. Jian Xinbao. And I think the police officer was given that number because Jian Xinbao is the one who provided the financial resource for renting this place. So the landlord considered Jian Xinbao to be the tenant. So Jian Xinbao basically used the landlord and misinformed the landlord and claimed that his sister is mentally ill. And that's probably fundamentally is the cause of the landlord try in every regard not, want to continue to let me stay there. Furthermore, he also told me, he said, I need to go back to China. If you are here to broadcast the Chinese government's crimes to the world, if I go back to China and I'm your landlord, I'm going to be in big trouble. So please, leave. And the whole confrontation that has been happening in a hidden way in the past about 2 years is the landlord, under the fear of all this nature, tried to evict me. And I basically also try all my effort to try to relocate. But it was the COVID-19 time. It was almost impossible for me to relocate an office that has already 8 years of good work in this community, and I could not find a suitable place to relocate at all. And so basically the incidents, my analysis that caused this strange thing happen is that, number one, the landlord is carrying out illegal eviction, method, trying to find excuses to try to evict me. So number two, Dr. Jianxin Bell basically is giving them false information and claiming that I'm such and such and leading them, to have additional concerns. But how could it escalate to the mother call the police as if she already had a plan, to tell the police that I harassed them to the degree even caused the little girl to commit suicide. Now that little girl, I've been there for 8 years. And throughout the 8 years, this little girl developed such sweet and, trusting relationship with me that I have all the pictures, videos to prove that this girl loved me. We work together like, we're like a little team. I spend time telling her stories, doing art projects, hold her hands, take a community walk. So there's no reason, for the parents to try to accuse me of causing their daughter, who's always every day singing, dancing, happy, never had any sign of depression. Furthermore, for the past about 2 months, I was prohibited to talk to her. I was prohibited to even speak to anybody in the house, and I did follow that. I felt I, don't want to cause them to be irritated in any way, and I will try to focus upon my work. So out of blue, that morning, the mother, as if was already had a plan, meditated for a long time, and got this whole thing executed. So, the police officers carried out things also. I felt, the reason I also want to get this story to you is because I felt the police officers, number one, have no clue how to interact with the CCP, ideology-controlled Chinese immigrants. Number two, even though, this is happening to the police officers, lying to them, they should have the very basic professional knowledge that people who make 911 emergency call, sometimes they may be lying with some ulterior motives. The police officers at least need to give me fundamental rights to explain what is the truth. If they suspect me to have mental problem, even that is the case, they have no right to ship me into mental hospital. Furthermore, they were not given any documentation to prove that I need medical care, mental medical care. Now, even if I do need that, let's say I am truly in mental condition, then how can they deprive me of my right to contact my family members to let them know I'm being shipped to the hospital? Why, they don't release any information even when my colleague tried to go to the 109 prison, try to look for me. They say even if they know, they will not give information to him. Now, if that day, due to exhaustion of overnight work, hunger and thirst, and due to emotional stress and feeling I was so wronged and become emotionally agitated, upset, show any emotional sign. I noticed when I was in the so-called behavior crisis unit, the young Queens College student only showed a little sign of upsetness. 3 men jumped onto her and injected a tranquilizer to her when she was screaming for help, and nobody was there to help. Now, if that day, due to any of those stressful reasons, the doctors started to try to inject tranquilizers to me, give me medication, and started to, basically, we are talking about depriving all my fundamental rights and placed me into a life-threatening situation. If due to a long time of no sleep, sleep deprivation, right, no food, no water, I 3 times requested the police officer to allow me at least get a water bottle from the house. It was refused. Okay, no food, no drink, no sleep for a whole complete 24 hours. That was what happened to me. And all my rights were deprived that day. I have recorded this. I have broadcast to my Facebook community, to all my, nonprofit organization leaders at this point. And I think this is a very, very serious case. So I like to have your office have a record of it. Yesterday, I went to 109 precinct. And I talked to the police officer there. I said, I need to meet with the community affair director. Now, the 109 precinct before had a community affair director, Detective O'Donnell. He's my friend because he saw the Falun Dafa practitioners constantly subjected to discrimination, harassment for many, many cases. So he knows every time when I go to him to report a harassment discrimination case, he's always on my side. But right now, Detective O'Donnell has retired, I was informed. Now, who replaced him? They said it's Detective Huang. Well, when I heard that last name of Chinese, Huang, I started to be worried. Because, this is a Chinese immigrants community, and most of the Chinese people are brainwashed by the Chinese government. And if Detective Huang also believes in the Chinese Communist government's hate propaganda towards Falun Dafa, in the depths of his heart, he's not going to want to do anything with me to educate the Chinese community, to educate the police officers. And if the police officers have no clue, I was telling the police officers when I was handcuffed in the ambulance about Chinese government persecuted Falun Gong, discrimination cases, most likely he was lied to. He doesn't want to listen. He has no idea about the evil nature of the CCP persecuting Falun Gong practitioners in America, and the persecution of Falun Gong is considered to be genocide. Now, if the police officers using the tax dollars made a vow to serve the people of America are in fact serving the agenda of the CCP government to persecute Falun Dafa practitioners, to commit crime in the community, this is definitely the nature is serious enough to be a hate crime than what the police officers are doing that day on May 28th. The 109 precinct police officers, about 7 or 8 police officers and the 2 ambulances and all the medical staff in Long Island Jewish Hospital, they all worked for the CCP that day, to deprive American citizens' rights and to persecute that American citizen. If I showed any sign of emotion that day, I knew they would start to jump on me like that Queens College young student and inject me with tranquilizers. Okay, and then deprive me all my rights, and none of my family members even know where I was. What's gonna happen? I could disappear that day. So this is something so horrible that I will broadcast it nonstop. And this has to be investigated. This is so serious now. And I know in Flushing, this is not happening to me alone. There is another Falun Dafa practitioner who disappeared for a whole year, almost died in the mental hospital. So this is really time to stop now. I do believe that the police, throughout New York City really need to have this education. My nonprofit organization need to deliver the education. I'm not calling you to get the police officer punished or anything, because I think he's young, he's, not experienced in this community. But I think that if they don't know the truth, horrible things can happen to the people and eventually to themselves. This has to be educated. So I'm reaching out to you, and I hope that, in whichever the way you can provide me with the support, I need to give lectures about this case to all the police officers in the New York City to prevent this kind of thing from further happening.